and welcome to my first ever user interface video. I got some questions on one of the videos about what I'm using and what I'm not using. First of all, I'm going to preface this by saying there's some stuff that overlaps in this that I don't necessarily need as part of what I'm using for a user interface, but have there anyways just because I'm used to seeing it there, and without it I kind of panic thinking where did it go or something's wrong. The first thing I got to do this week before I forget, we'll wrap this a little later on, is there's a DS full clear coming up tonight, so I'm going to sign up for that because all I can see is Bob is, oh yeah, Glenn's in there, which is the other healer. This we ran last week, got up to spine, didn't wrap it, but this week we will. What you're going to notice first is the button layout. What I'm using is bartender, and as you can see it's pretty simple. The bar snapping is just to line everything up. You can further go into it and control things. Open up the little interface here. Bar 1, which is this, I've got it set up in a way that I can find it easier on after changing mice. I'm now using a Razer Naga, and just to make it easier visually to know which button to hit up, it's set up like that. Most DPSs and tanks would set it up differently. As a healer, some of the buttons I make use of, some of them I just downright click. It's all a matter of preference. At some point, probably closer to the launch of Mr. Pit area, I'll have it all flat. So what you can do with the buttons is align it so that you have up to 12 buttons there, how many rows you want, and you can do that for all the panels. What you can also do, like with the locking and whatnot, is move them around to wherever is comfortable for you. I just happen to keep my little menu down here, bags down here. A lot of times I'll just use the B button to open up all the bags on me. It's a fairly simple layout. There isn't a whole lot that I do with it in terms of moving it around. With one of the other add-ons that I'll show you in a little bit, I make use of this small area at the bottom. Before I get too far into this, one thing I find handy is an add-on manager. The one I use is Addon Control Panel. A lot of the add-ons that I use are available at curse.com, which I'll post a link up both in the video and should be available once this is up, and I'll try and give you as much information as possible as that. You can align these to sets by character. It'll also look after which ones are enabled, disabled, depending if you're doing PvP raiding, questing, whatnot. You can turn certain ones on and certain ones off. There's times you need stuff and times you don't. As you can see, there's quite a bit in here that I make use of, and then there's a list that doesn't. Inside of my I think it's the interface, there is something in here with add-ons that allow you to or actually it's right at the beginning, where you can tell it to load out-of-date add-ons. I usually select that because as patches come in, some things just don't change. One of the add-ons the next in the list, I guess everyone asked what are you using for raid frames. What I'm using is shadowed unit frames. We'll call this up, but /SFU or SUF. You can I won't go into a whole tutorial on it, we'll just lightly cover it. You can cover which units are enabled or disabled. I tend to stick to fairly simple stuff like the player, the party, boss target. Sometimes I'll change this around depending on the raid size and how it's set up. You can go as far as target of target of target. I don't get that far in. I sometimes enable the focus or the focus target. It just depends on what I'm doing, how it's all set up. Call it up again. What I can show under general, you can unit convert, global unit conversion player. So just give you a quick overview of this. Under general, if you unlock the frames, they all come up. You can move them around however you want them. I just keep my target next to the player, people in the raid party up on the left, bosses up here. That way, if I'm targeting something like one of the tanks or one of the other party members while I'm healing, I can still keep an eye on the bosses, or with your sash, the slimes coming in, which ones they've taken, which ones they haven't. Gives me a heads up what I got to do, whether to stack or move away in a 10-man raid. And also cover things like buffs and whatnot. Next on the list would be healing. What healing add-on I use. I recently switched from HealBot over to VuhDo. It's not bad. There's things I like about it, there's things that just drive me insane. I've got it fairly simply set up. That again, you can find one of the multitudes of video on that and learn how to use it. One thing I got to look into that I haven't set up on this was it's not showing spec. The other thing is threat. Two pretty important things to what I do. So under spells, it's all set up however you want to, with just simple clicks of the mouse, control clicks, alt clicks, shift alt, control alt. As I might have mentioned earlier, I play a number of characters and a number of healers. I covered Discipline Priest, Holy Paladin, Resto Druid. Imagine once Mist of Pandaria comes out, I'll have a Windwalker Monk. I tend to group my spells just so that I can find them easily. You know, the fastest heal is a left click, the middle heal is my right click. Usually there's a heal over time, which is just a simple click. And then from there, the bigger heal is shift right. It all depends on what you like to do, what you like to set it up as. I just have a preference of trying to simplify it so that I don't have to constantly remember different layouts, because VuhDo will, as well as HealBot, set it up differently according to the class and what gets used the most. I just like to break it down so that I can know that quicker heals, longer heals, mass heals, whatever. I will show you something for macros. If you're using VuhDo, you're playing Holy Priest, for your chakra, and then to bring up the Holy Word Serenity, it doesn't cast on its own. So what I've had to do is write a macro to cast that off. I'll try and post that as well on the video. So you've seen raid frames, you've seen some of the other little things. One handy thing that is nice to have, Alasloot, is to go in and, you know, check the difference between, you know, the varies of time falls down in regular raid, but not in Raid Finder. And those are all updated. Things like factions, you know, what you're going to need for what reputation in order to get what gear. Works for crafting as well, to know that, you know, the belt you need is made by a leather worker, or it's made, the drop for it falls, you know, Firelands or whatever. Let's see if we can find ourselves a mailbox so I can show you a handy little postal add-on for dealing with mail. In the meantime, here we go. For my mail, I use something called Postal, which allows you to open up all of your mail. It keeps a track of, you know, what alts you've got on the server, friends that you have, guild members, whatever. I can find a vendor. I shall show you. Nope, that's not a vendor. It's the orphanage. Guess if you're into buying and selling kids, that's where you go. Into the vendor in here.
You need something?
A little add-on called Sell Junk.
Safe travels.
From the add-on menu. Pretty sure. No, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna call this up under interface. Under Sell Junk, you can remove items from the exceptions. This is just a fail-safe mode. I keep it clicked because not too often I have more than 12 items in there. It'll tell me how much gold I sold it for. It'll show spam in my little chat button. I can turn it automatic, but every once in a while it's nice to keep some of that junk for, especially when I'm doing enchanting. I've been leveling that, and it's nice to have a shield or something like that that you can get rid of. I guess one of the gimmicky ones that I have that's just fun to keep around is Altoholic. If I want to, like my characters on Wildhammer, if I see spam, I can go into realize that, okay, my mage really needs some gear. My Death Knight, Druid, you know, they're all sitting pretty close to 390. What you're going to find though is, like, go back to summary. With my Death Knight, it's showing 383. It's actually about 387. It's just hanging around its unholy spec right now. It's the same as, I think my priest is in shadow right now. Doesn't matter. On this on Dark Spear, it's showing it's 385 for my priest. I've got my prod holy, or my prod rat paladin at 385, and then I'm leveling up a Death Knight. Death Knights are boring to bring up, but I need the professions, and in order to get the professions, I gotta go to 85. For boss mods, I'm using Deadly Boss mods. That's going to actually be changing in the next week or so. I'm going to try getting Bigwig's boss mods going. Just because apparently it's a little bit handier. I've been watching, I guess a shout out to Mike Preach. Wow. I watched his little thing he did on interfaces, and while I like this one and some of the stuff it shouts out to you, Bigwigs tends to be the way to go now that everyone's using. In some of the videos that you've seen, I've got a Rail Spell Announcer. Guys, be really careful when you're using this thing because you can spam a whole lot of stuff that's just unnecessary. It drove me insane that every once in a while we were, I think it was Well of Eternity. Every once in a while I'd have to do the interrupt, and on my Horde character, I'd shoot off, you know, Arcane Torrent, and it would annoy everyone that, you know, a VL cast Arcane Torrent. So you just go through it, and you can pick which ones that you use. You can put a little link at the bottom. I find it pretty handy. With some of the guild runs tonight, maybe I'll have some fun with everyone in the resurrection. I'll just, you know, call them noob sauce or something like that. Time for a res. Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see how well it goes over. It's a pretty good group. I'm looking forward to getting some fraps footage of that. I have Enchantrix. I don't use it. It's there. I just leave it running. It has more to do with one of the broker. There's a buff broker or some kind of trade barker that goes in when I'm using Auctionator, and that again is just a matter of preference. I know some people like auctioneer, and there's tons of add-ons. I'm one of those people that it's a little bit old school when it comes to that stuff, and have my visual preferences for being able to turn out information. So we're going to make a quick trip over to the auction house. Still getting used to Stormwind after playing 3 years of Horde. So we'll cover some of the auction ones with Auctionator, and a few little things that when you choose not to disable add-ons, excuse me, if you've got overlapping add-ons, sometimes this will really get messed up. I know I had one point where I had Auctioneer, an Auctionator, and Auction Master all running at the same time. It confused me. What I like about it is, I'll open up our bags for posting auctions. If I wanted to take, we'll say, Netherweave pants, it'll show this, and then it'll actually poll the auction house and tell me that this is about the going rate, and you can set inside of the options how much lower you're going to bring it to what's up there or what's not. Another handy thing is, let's see, with cloth armor, I know I've been looking for legs for a little bit. Tell it we want level 85 epics, cloth legs, and see what they got. And it'll tell me that these are all overpriced. You know, why spend the money, right? $359 Flame Ascended pantaloons are eight grand, no way. Find something, whereas sometimes you can find something really cheap, right? You know, instead of DPS risks going for 1,000, it says it's 12% compared to what a lot of the other ones are. Let's go straight up armor. We'll see if we can find something that's like disgustingly cheap. Something that has nothing. You got to move through a page or two. One of the buggy things I found is occasionally you find stuff on page 2 that's cheaper than page 1. But you know, healer chest 200 gold, 42%. It'll update this as you buy it sometimes. But it's a handy application. I like making use of it. Okay, I'm not sure which one of these two I'm gonna cover first, but I gotta switch this up. Anyways, what I use is Tidyplates. Now, it's either tank or damage, and then there's threat plates. What I set mine at for this is under damage. On my tank, I set it to tank. I've been looking at some of Bajura's videos. I think it's kind of cool how he's got the bar style that he's got. Go by enemy class. Warning border and glow. So enemy health bars. I think I've got no health bar. So we'll default. Friendly health bar is going to be default, it won't matter to me. Bar mode. Okay. And okay, so I figure I'd try and find something that I'm not going to kill as soon as I aggro it. But what I use is Quartz for my cast bars. Let's see if we can aggro this without killing it. Yeah. Figures. Holy priest owning a spider. You can see some of it in the bottom. I'll cast a heal on myself. You see what my own heals look like. That's the area I keep all my stuff in. And for stuff that's instant cast, you can see the bar move at the bottom. That's for my global cooldown. Hopefully I can find something that's going to cast something at me before I kill it. Now naturally, I don't think I'm going to get through every single one that I make use of. There's stuff that I'm forgetting, such as Skada. It's used for measuring out damage. You'll see it a lot of times in LFR. I've got it for healing. It's really not an essential as a healer to have it, but I'm so used to seeing it that when it's not there, I go looking for it. I find it distracting. In LFR, one of the tactics I'm finding that people are making use of is that they will queue as a healer and do damage, or queue as damage and heal. And it's easy enough to find out inside of a raid environment that, okay, well, there's 6 healers in here and only 4 people healing. Who's, you know, doing damage and nothing else? And again, to Mike Preach, you just got to, totally right. You go into LFR thinking you are the only person that knows what the hell they're doing, and everyone else is a scrub. You have to go in that way. You rest everything on your own shoulders. Assume that nothing's going to be offered to you in the way of help. It's you or it's not getting done. Okay, let's see if we can find some higher level stuff out here to piss off and get to cast a spell or 2 at us. It's been a long time since I've been out this way leveling. I think the last time was a paladin I did on Altoholic Mountains, and that was almost a year ago. So I'm taking a guess that there's stuff over here to piss off. What was that? I guess somebody's leveling out here, and yeah, that's right, there's murlocs down here, I think. Let's see if we can piss off a murloc. Yeah, we'll just attack it with...
It's too far away.
I get so going on.
I need to get closer.
Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, my Shadow Fiend is going to kill everything. That's pretty bad, eh? I'm owning it up out here. Why wouldn't I? Run over top of it? Well, that's it. There we go. Okay, Mr. Shadow Fiend, you can go away anytime soon. As you can see, the threat's there. And if he casts anything, which I may be totally wrong about, we can show you Quartz. Yeah, I've had about enough of that. I'll just kill him and we'll find somewhere else. Okay, I'm hoping the name Mystic means that I'm going to set some of this crap on. Back up. And what we should see is that. And he'll cast his lightning bolts and everything else. Now Quartz will let me do a whole lot of stuff. Timers, buffs, global cooldowns, it'll do check out latency and stuff like that, which will tell me what my latency is according to when I do the key press and when the spell actually goes off. Sometimes handy on busy nights or busy times of year. You can set your focus where it's going to be, target the player, which profiles you want it to use. You can have it copy it from another one. This was really handy as far as my other characters in Wildhammer, because I just make one and it's copied over and over and over again. I don't have that on this yet. I've tried copying stuff over using the WTF folder. I don't know how well that's going to work. Yeah. So anyways, enemy cast bars. I can disable if I unlock it. There we go. Mixed scrolling battle text. Another popular one. I think I keep everything all the good on the left, all the bad on the right. I'm not too worried about his damage as a healer. I turn off the center area. I think we've got, where is it? Scroll areas. Yeah, so notifications come up at the top. Incoming stuff is on the left, outgoing's on the right. static stuff I can probably move up. You know, sticky style, directions down, directions up. I guess it'd be the incoming, outgoing behavior, text align. Make it to the right. Don't necessarily need icons, but I keep them up there. So on incoming, we go text align left. Outgoing, we're going to go text align right. I've got the notification and the static turned off. Loot alerts, I probably don't need it on, I just keep it there. Under custom media, I can add fonts, I can add sounds. I'll get into maybe customizing that later. It seems pretty good the way it is set up right now. Let's see if there's another item in this list. OmniCC, I have it installed. I haven't used it. Power Auras Classic. That's your buff timers and things like that. I don't tend to use much that, if it's even enabled right now. Snowfall Key Press. I have it. I'm still learning to use it. Tipsy. That's for tooltip alignment. It kind of pisses me off when the tooltips move all over the place. I can just set it off over top of the map. Titan panel. It's a one I might actually get rid of eventually. It's your little bar up here. I use it. I don't use it. I can live without it. Doesn't matter. But anyhow, that's a quick overview of my my user interface, and feel free to subscribe, and we'll have more footage tonight from the Dragon Soul raid.